Hi, Ander or FBI Open Up back with a new video regarding farming fleets. In this video, I will be talking about the zombie fleet, a high survival and low oil costing strategy, making them super economical to use. I will be giving you the strengths of why they're being used, how to properly equip the ships in the strategy, and how you should be using them ideally in their best situations. The concept of building a farming fleet means that by now in your Azur Lane journey, you have the sufficient resources to start building some of your other fleets other than your main two fleets that you use for battle. Equipment wise, it is recommended that you at least have purple gears and a good amount of skill books, as they will need at least some good amount of gears to properly get the best results for them. If you're not at this point yet, you might not want to consider farming this stuff and just consider leveling up your main two fleets instead. If you're past this stage, or if you just want to go and have future reference for later, this video is for you. Now, onto the zombie fleets. Now, out of all of the oil efficient strategies in Azur Lane, making a zombie fleet or just building any of these zombie ships are the best and most beginner friendly fleet, and I will recommend starting to build them at any time of your Azur Lane journey, since they can be used anywhere for any fleet. Now you may be wondering, why are they called zombies? Well, that is because they have abilities that will recover a certain percentage of their health back when their health drops below a certain percentage every single battle. This means that they have great survivability, and since they can barely die, they are nicknamed zombies. So take for instance Phoenix's Red Phoenix skill, which for some reason is blue because it's a healing skill. Anyway, when her HP drops below 20%, she restores 25%, meaning that she is now going to be at 45%. Now, this means that it can happen every single battle, so as long as she lives until the next battle, when her health falls below 20% once more, she will once again restore 25%, and the cycle will continue and continue and continue. This means that they have insane survivability because this skill just heals every single time her health drops below 20%. Now the zombie fleets are centered around 3 vanguards that are all cost efficient, Phoenix being one of them, and the other 2 being the gray rarity Cassin and Downs, because they both have this baptismal flame skill that does the exact same thing as Phoenix, except they do not get that extra firepower buff that Phoenix gets. Now technically Minneapolis also falls into this category, but since she is a super rare ship and not anything that is blue or gray, Minneapolis over here with her Dullahan skill has a very similar HP recovering kind of thing, but she is not ideal to farming due to her much higher oil costs compared to Phoenix, Cassin, and Downs. So for instance, at max limit break, Minnie is at 12 oil per battle, while only at max limit break, if you go back to Phoenix, she's at 9. And if you are using the ideal farming Cassin and Downs at limit break 0, they cost only 1. Now, Cassin and Downs are both gray rarity ships, meaning that they will only cost 1 extra oil per battle each, meaning that they are insanely oil efficient. Phoenix, on the other hand, is a blue rarity, meaning that she will have a higher oil cost than the grays, but she in turn has a much wider area of capability. Now this is why I would recommend limit breaking your Phoenix all the way to max, while keeping your Cassin and Downs over at limit break 0. I'll be detailing that a little bit later, so if you're confused, just wait for a minute. Now she is very good for all content, and you should be raising your Phoenix if you haven't already. And due to how good she is, I will be covering her later on in the video. Now the zombies, Cassin, Downs, and Phoenix, they can be used by themselves as a solo, like how Phoenix is usually used, or as a duo pair, which is how Cassin and Downs are usually used. Now, you would use these two as a duo because just in case one of them do sink, you have yet another person that can do the same HP recovering thing, meaning that your fleet will last a lot longer. Now you would be thinking, why would I ever use Cassin and Downs right here instead of using a higher rarity and more damaging ship like Phoenix, for example? Well, due to their super low oil cost, if you can use them as your solo vanguard, they will be able to be incredibly good for backline farming, as they do not have sufficient damage to go and take MVP from a battleship or flagship, but they will be able to survive in the Vanguard and fill that Vanguard slot in nicely. So for instance, take my 7-2 composition right here, when I am farming 7-2, which is the gold node. The backlines being Bismarck and Tirpitz, as I am farming for Friedrich der Grauch. I hope I didn't butcher that. Anyway, so these backlines will always get MVP and flagship bonus, while Cassin and Downs are there to survive. Now, if you want to watch my fast leveling guide, if you want to know all the other different experience bonuses in Azur Lane, be sure to do that. And to properly build a ship in the zombie fleet, you will need survival, because that is their job, to literally survive. Their damage is not really focused on, it's more about that survival aspect because of their insane HP recovery. Now, first of all, you will need them to get very solid gear, at least a repair toolkit and a fire extinguisher as their auxiliaries, because this gives a lot more health. Gold gear is preferred, purple gear is the minimum most of the time. Without this, they will die much faster and not nearly be as useful. Now also with that, well, I actually didn't do it all the way yet. That's Tosa. Whoa, what the heck? Okay, I think I bugged it out. That is not okay, there we go. That was Tosa and Downs in Cassin's position. But anyway, you should be leveling up their skills. So if I go back to someone like Phoenix, leveling up her skills at level 10 makes it so that it is much better than level 1. So for instance, if Phoenix had her skill at only level 1, it would only heal for 15% instead of a max 25%. This is a huge difference in health, and this could definitely increase your survival drastically. Now, the reason why I'm saying Cassin and Downs should be at limit break 0 instead of limit breaking them all the way is because they obviously, of course, cost only 1 oil if they are not limit broken at all. If you limit break, then obviously the oil cost goes up. But also, this is because their strength relies only on their survivability. You should be bringing another higher DPS ship in order to clear the fleet. You don't really rely on your Cassin and Downs to do all the DPS for you. So just as I was mentioning, my 7-2 composition right here, the damagers are going to be Bismarck and Tirpitz, while Cassin and Downs are basically just kind of floating there and waiting until Bismarck and Tirpitz get the job done. Now, the reason why, of course, I'm farming 7-2 is for that gold, as there is 4 nodes that can potentially drop gold. Now, I'm doing this because my Bismarck is farming for, again, Friedrich der Große. This is an amazing strategy for farming a certain backline ship, and it is amazing for PR farming too. You'll get a super high experience yield for the amount of oil that you're spending. So for instance, I would be spending 10 oil for the initial entry right here, but you would only have the cost of your backline ships plus 1 and 2, because each Cassin and Downs only cost 1 oil each. So your Vanguard will cost a very low amount. Now if you put this in, you could go over here, and you could just clear your stuff. And as you can see, this is going to be how Cassin and Downs function. You will just basically let them sit around, do whatever the heck they want, but their objective is to literally survive. They're not going to be damaging nearly as much as Bismarck and Tirpitz in this case. They're there to float and absorb damage. If their health drops below a certain point, then guess what? They've got that nice health recovery skill to go and bring them right back up. So as you can see, Bismarck is doing all that damage. Now, if you could also see, actually no, Tirpitz is going to now shoot. And Cassin and Downs barely do any damage, but guess what? Their role is to survive because they are the zombie fleet. Anyway, we can go over here and you can see that Bismarck and Tirpitz have gotten all of that XP. Well, actually only Bismarck, because she got the MVP and flagship bonus, which drastically increases her XP gain. As you can see, Tirpitz only got 721, and Bismarck gets 2163. And in an ideal situation, you would only want to bring 1 flagship, or backline in general, so that they can always get that nice bonus and you won't be wasting that much oil. If I only brought that, then each run would only be like 15 to 18 oil, meaning that I could get a very solid 2000 XP for every single battle that I do. So that should go and give you an intro to why you should be using Cassin and Downs for a farming fleet. They're the lowest costing vanguards, and their job at surviving, they do it very well. Now quickly before we go into the last candidate for an oil efficient zombie fleet, I would just like to mention that I am using Turpitz even though she is not as efficient as just running one backliner, because she's just giving me some little extra XP towards that PR grind for the German ship that I'm not going to pronounce for a third time, because her name is very complicated and I don't feel like butchering it to the people that are watching. So good luck saying that, and let's go and move on to Phoenix. Actually, let's try this new feature. It's like hold, right? Yeah, okay, so it is. Alright, on to Phoenix. She is the last candidate. She is the spicy waifu herself, according to the top comment right here. And she is the queen of oil efficiency and being an insanely good ship. Phoenix and Portland Retrofit are the only two blue ships that are so insanely good, I will recommend them to anyone to start gearing them up. This is also because Phoenix has super well-rounded stats and skills. She has very solid damage output, unlike Cassin and Downs due to having a main gun +1 instead of having a torpedo. Now, combined with that main gun +1, she has a secondary auxiliary gun instead of a torpedo, meaning that she will be able to go and have very good, consistent, reliable damage output, making her a wonderful vanguard to have. Now you combine that with her amazing Red Phoenix skill that I've already went over, meaning that once she falls below that certain point, she recovers that health, and additionally she gets a firepower boost with that, meaning she can do even more damage. Now, this makes her super tanky, super hard to kill, and she does very solid amounts of damage, unlike the other two zombie fleet ships, Cassin and Downs, that wish they can't do as much. If this didn't sound good enough for you, she is only blue rarity compared to elites and super rares, meaning that you can use her for a much lower oil price than them, making her super good for farming, and you can use her for even the harder stages like 12-4 and D3 of the current event, making her just incredibly strong for farming. I don't know how to go and say this enough. Now, if you do want to use her for all content, as I've said, you should definitely max limit break her. The reason why I didn't max limit break Cassin and Downs is because they are good at the lower level content, and if I do manage to limit break them, then they're just not going to be as efficient. Now compared to Phoenix on the other hand, if you do want to go and do your harder content, just limit break your Phoenix instead, and she will be able to go and carry you by herself. Those harder maps, Cassin and Downs may have a trouble trying to go and survive still, but Phoenix will be able to go and survive with absolutely no problem. So hopefully from this speech I've convinced you to either start leveling up your Phoenix or to start working on her, because her potential is absolutely insane. To go and put this in perspective, let's go and do a very solid D3 with my Phoenix as my only frontliner. Of course I'm going to be using Bismarck and Turpitz again, because, well, I haven't actually finished my Amagi yet. I'm just kind of waiting until I get enough cubes and gold that I'm comfortable with finishing her, but I have actually finished the entire experience requirement for her. So Phoenix will just basically be your best solo vanguard for farming. And ideally you would just want to go and put any kind of backline, and if you want to be oil efficient with your vanguards, just have Phoenix in and she will be able to survive literally everything. Just take a look. And she can actually do damage, unlike Cassin and Downs. As you can see, she's actually damaging those ships and actually sinking them. Of course, we're still going to be relying on Bismarck and Turpitz to do most of that damage to Chokai over here. But Phoenix can just survive. Just survivability, that's all zombie fleets are. Phoenix just does that job much better than anybody else. And for a low oil cost, she's just incredible. Make sure that you are leveling her up. So if we do check, she actually does do damage, and she actually almost won MVP. So Phoenix is incredible. I don't know how many times I've said incredible. If someone wants to check, you can always comment that. But that should just go and put her in perspective and tell you that she is just insanely good. Now with all that being said, that will wrap up my video regarding these 3 ships for an oil-efficient zombie fleet. As always, if you found this information helpful, consider dropping a like and subscribing. Don't forget to press the notification bell for my future uploads as well. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions that need to be answered, and I'll try my best to reply. Now that's all I have for this video, so have a good rest of your day. You are blessed by Phoenix's foot, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! As always, this video is sponsored by BlueStacks, and BlueStacks is a free and trusted Android emulator that I use to play Azur Lane on my PC. I use BlueStacks to get better performance on my phone, and it also lets me record YouTube videos for you guys. If you're interested in downloading a good emulator so that you can also play Azur Lane on your computer, click the affiliate link in the description. All you have to do is download Azur Lane through my referral link, and BlueStacks will give this channel a very small commission, so it's a very easy and free way to support the channel as I save for a better mic. Oh my gosh, this is actually intense. Thanks for all the support that you guys have given this channel, and I hope that I can continue to deliver in the future. Bye!